You find a big dinner that we can afford, and I'll do both our jobs.
Now Sizzlers cut the price of their triple shrimp platter from $9.99 to just $6.99. That's a huge savings for all-you-can-eat golden fried, lemon pepper, and cocktail shrimp. And remember, the kids' menu is just 99 cents.
That was a great meal, Ollie. Say, you missed a spot.
Get your weekend sports from Steve Davis tonight on Newsroom 6.
Does the UN waste a lot of money?
Of course.
A lot of money?
Of course.
How much money are we talking about? Are we talking about millions? Hundreds of millions?
Probably hundreds of millions. I'm worried that the U.S. taxpayer is going to stop supporting the UN when they find out some of the things that are going on in the UN, and they're outrageous.
When, if you know, Mrs. Wells, was the last time that a UN official was prosecuted for theft, corruption, breaking the law?
I'd have to look that up.
I have 1,900,000. Now say 2 million.
Most of this art of the 90s would be worthless junk without the hype of the dealers and, even more important, the approval of the critics.
Please note that the measurements for this work are reversed. It's actually a horizontal painting. I'm sorry, it's actually a vertical painting.
Many of these artists live in great dread of waking up one morning and finding that somebody blew the whistle and they're no longer going to be considered important.
Sold at 30,000, yours, sir?
When's the last time you checked a medical bill? The last time we checked, we were overcharged for blood tests we didn't need and our doctor hadn't ordered. That's the kind of playing fast and loose with the healthcare system that caused the government last year to lower the boom on national health laboratories.
The charge National Health Labs pled guilty to was submitting false and fraudulent claims to the United States government.
And the president of the company went to jail, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
They say they've cleaned up their act. Stay tuned.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Ed Bradley. I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
By maximizing the ratio of room given to passengers to room given to machine, a new category of vehicle was invented. Later, this same principle leads to cab-forward design. The windshield is moved forward for increased visibility and decreased aerodynamic drag. To provide greater lateral stability during high-speed cornering, the wheels are moved toward the corners. Presenting the new age of Chryslers. The Chrysler New Yorker, the Chrysler Concorde, the Chrysler Town & Country, the Chrysler LHS. Four of the most eloquent expressions ever of form following function.
Both Visa and American Express Gold cards can get you to England for the golf vacation of your life.
Charlie, how did your yank do? Well, we're up on the 9th, and he wants to be up in 2, so he puts everything he's got into the shop, including his new graphite driver.
But should you have a stroke of bad luck, only Visa Gold can get you back on course, because Cape Cornwall's only pro shop doesn't take American Express.
Keep a grip on it.
Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
When the UN General Assembly reconvenes Tuesday in New York, what will not be on the public agenda is waste and fraud at the UN. But privately, more than a few UN diplomats have acknowledged to us that waste and fraud there is increasingly on their minds. More than ever, the UN is a kind of global 911, an emergency cop on the international beat, with peacekeeping forces deployed worldwide of 80,000 men, and with an annual budget of some $10 billion, almost a third of that picked up by the United States. But many in a position to know charge that disturbing amounts from that UN budget are disappearing due to mismanagement or corruption. So while we look to the UN as the world's policeman, its ability to police itself is quite another matter.
I like the United Nations. I support the UN. I think it's the best hope in the world today.
Senator Larry Pressler has twice served on the U.S. delegation to the UN, and he's worried.
I'm worried that the U.S. taxpayer is going to stop supporting the UN when they find out some of the things that are going on in the UN, and they're outrageous.
What is it he's talking about? Well, take Cambodia, for example, the UN's most expensive peacekeeping operation ever. In the past 2 years, the UN has spent almost $2 billion there. According to UN insiders, plus the UN's own confidential audits, some of which we've been able to get hold of, tens of millions of dollars have been wasted or ripped off in Cambodia due to the incompetence or the outright thievery of UN officials and UN contractors. Item. Literally millions went for totally useless equipment, some of which was never even unpacked. Millions more went to a small number of preferred contractors, even though their bids were far higher than other companies. Melissa Wells is Undersecretary in charge of management at the UN. We asked her more about those confidential UN reports that we'd seen. According to that UN audit, much of the money was spent on phantom payrolls, employees who did not exist, work that was never done, all authorized by UN officials.
We're still waiting. There's more to be investigated.
Oh, I know there's more.
Yeah.
In effect, Miss Wells is the UN's chief operating officer. And since she came on board last April, she's been deeply involved in the Cambodia investigation. Millions spent on water purification systems that didn't work.
I'm aware of the water purification as well.
The auditors recommended that 2 UN officials who were involved with the contracts be fired for incompetence and lack of integrity. Were they relieved of their duties?
I think one has moved, and as I said, this whole area is under investigation still.
In fact, those 2 officials were never fired, and there's more involving tens of millions of dollars in UN helicopter contracts. Many of those contracts went to just one company. 8 UN employees have now been suspended due to suspicion that someone's hand was in the till. And you know that as well as I.
This is precisely what we're looking at.
But the UN's confidential investigations into their own operations in Cambodia have been dragging on now for more than 9 full months.
I'd be the first to say that we have a lot to learn, and we are learning it, and we've made some mistakes, some bad mistakes.
We asked her about allegations of corruption that we'd heard.
There are more that you haven't even cited yet, and I'm not about to tell you.
Why not?
Because it's my business until it becomes public.
In fact, not even the U.S. delegation to the United Nations has been able to see the UN's internal audits on Cambodia. Miss Wells, we pay the bills, 30% of the bills, and we want to see the confidential audits that are blowing the whistle, for instance, in Cambodia. Keep asking, the U.S. delegation does, and they say, sorry, stonewall. Doesn't seem to make sense.
Well, these are the rules of the House.
The House she's talking about is the UN. Does the UN waste a lot of money?
Of course.
A lot of money?
Of course.
Charles Lichtenstein was a U.S. ambassador to the UN from 1981 to 1984. How much money are we talking about? Are we talking about millions? Hundreds of millions?
Probably hundreds of millions.
You call it a gravy train.
It's a train that runs almost completely out of control.
Doesn't anybody pay any attention?
Fitfully.
Take the case of a former UN officer who used to work for the High Commissioner for Refugees. His colleagues say that he ran a prostitution service out of his UN office in Geneva. Then he went to Africa, where the UN's own auditors caught up with him, charging that he and others under his command ripped off hundreds of thousands of dollars in funds, food, and equipment, yet he was still able to collect his full pension and leave, and the UN never prosecuted him. When, if you know, Mrs. Wells, was the last time that a UN official was prosecuted for theft, corruption, breaking the law?
I'd have to look that up.
The UN failed to prosecute Pierre Clavé Damiba, who used to run the UN's development program in Africa. Damiba spent more than $750,000 UN without authorization to commission a series of reports about the UN in an African magazine. And many of those reports prominently featured Damiba himself. Democracy. Shortly before he became a candidate for president of his West African homeland.
Victoire! There's a culture at the UN. It springs from the third world, I think, and I'm saying that without any prejudice. The ethos is that you get into a position of power in government, you enrich yourself, and you loot your country. But when they get on the payroll of the UN, they sort of forget about their impoverished home country, and they are on a lifetime gravy train.
and they forget about public service. Do you disagree with him?
I do. I think it's insulting to the many devoted and dedicated personnel in this building who come from developing countries, and I know a lot of them. I call that insulting language.
Your predecessor, Richard Thornburg, here's what he had to say about this organization. Quote, defects exist in nearly every aspect of present personnel practice. Recruitment is haphazard, training insufficient, promotion unduly complicated, and dismissal encumbered by interminable appeals. The result, too much dead wood.
I agree with every word.
You're another. That dead wood is one problem for Marco Vianello Chiodo, who heads the UN's largest department, Public Information. He says that he would gladly cut 700 of the 1,000 people who presently work for him in public information and invest that savings in new programs and automation. But no way.
I understand you are under orders from the Secretary General not to fire people.
Yes.
Because?
I don't think that the system allows that. You know, this is 48 years of not firing anybody, so it would be very difficult to stop now.
One preferred way of keeping UN employees on the UN gravy train is quite simple. First, they retire and pick up their very generous pensions.
It's a package that is better than our U.S. civil service receives.
And then they get hired back as expensive, long-term consultants. So you get your pension, your benefits, and the consultants.
That is correct. That's a widespread practice in the UN. And they come back at big sums to do who knows what.
I know what you're referring to.
It's a honeypot here.
I know what you're referring to, and I'm looking into it.
What about taking a close look, no one really has, at what goes on in the UN's vast underground printing establishment, which grinds out almost 1 billion pages of documents each year? The timing of some of those publications is truly mystifying. Let me give you an example. UN Security Council official records meeting of 16 August, 1984.
Yes?
You know when this came out?
No.
1993.
Yes?
9 years later. Now, what in the dickens is that all about?
Because it's a matter of record, and that is why we
come on,
here...
Miss Wells. 9 years later?
Let's see, seems rather lengthy, yes. I mean, if you look at the subject, it isn't really hot.
Here's a
last
hot
night.
one.
What's that one? On human rights, right?
See the date?
86, yes.
Know when it came out?
No.
6 years late. Who reads it?
No, I think certainly on an issue such as human rights, that's too long a delay.
Give me a tight shot, please. The Public Information Department at the UN churns out an awesome array of videotapes and films on every conceivable subject from the possible extinction of mankind.
Are we going the way of the dinosaur?
To a tribute to Nelson Mandela. Incredibly, no one has been able to put a number on how much those videos and publications cost. But that's small potatoes compared to the amount the UN has been splurging on building massive conference centers around the globe.
They have one in Bangkok, for example, which I'm told they hire out for weddings and receptions, and I suppose maybe even for bar mitzvahs.
Or this colossal UN conference center going up, over U.S. objections, in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia at a cost of more than $100 million.
$100 million. Just a few blocks from some of the most deprived areas known to man. Why do you need to spend $100 million for a conference?
Mr. Wells, I didn't make that decision, or any of my predecessors. We have met the enemy, and it is us. It's the membership that has decided that.
It's the General Assembly.
It's the General Assembly that decides.
That General Assembly now has 184 member states. And while they get to run up the bills, just 13 of the more prosperous nations have to foot 80% of the UN tab. And sometimes just one powerful UN official can launch a building boom by himself. For instance, when Austria's Kurt Waldheim headed the UN, his hometown of Vienna suddenly became the #3 UN capital. A virtual Disneyland of UN undertakings. Right?
There were many of us who were not in favor of the move to Vienna. Yeah?
The meeting is adjourned.
With everyone getting to call at least some of the shots at the UN, the result is a hopeless hodgepodge of institutes and agencies and high commissions dealing with just about every subject known to man, many of them duplicating the work of each other. In Rome, for instance, there are 3 separate UN agencies dealing just with food.
Why do we need them all?
Maybe one could
We
do it.
might need one. We might need one.
In the field of decolonization.
And there are UN agencies that never end their work. Example, the UN's Trusteeship Council, established back in 1946, to oversee the governing of some 11 territories around the globe. Today, there is just one tiny Pacific territory left, Palau, with 15,000 citizens.
Well, what does the Trusteeship Council do? It meets, presumably now, to discuss the many and urgent and burning issues of Palau.
Regarding the important issue of Palau status, I am pleased indeed to state that there have been significant developments since our last meeting.
Are they still working? I mean, it's not the part of my house. What are they doing? Who are they decolonizing at this stage?
Palau is the sole...
okay.
But just try to shut down just one UN agency, like the Trusteeship Council. Both Kurt Waldheim and his successor, Javier Perez de Cuellar, thought at one time of giving it a shot.
Javier himself, to his great credit, with his staff, prepared a list of some 100 such programs offices,
that might,
all of which were candidates for being
done away,
abolished, cut off their water. They have done their job, honorably retired them.
What happened?
Nothing.
And what about Boutros Ghali?
Today, the world has changed.
He had promised to shake up the system. And for the record, some top UN officials say that is what he's doing.
The question is anyone taking action? I'd like to think that we are beginning to take action.
But many others are doubtful. They say it still seems to be largely business as usual.
Can the UN operate that way?
Well, they get away with it because nobody... Because the
doesn't
biggest donor country doesn't stand up to them. And that's the United States.
Doesn't the United States State Department want the UN to clean up its financial act?
Well, I think because the State Department think of themselves as diplomats, and they kind of look upon this as grubby administrative work, and they want to go on with the big issues of diplomacy.
Legitimate big issues like Bosnia and Somalia, for example. That's what captures the attention of the Secretary General. So the day-to-day running of the organization takes a back seat.
How many people have held your job over the last half-dozen years?
There was 5 people have held this job in 6 years, yes.
Is that any way to run a business, truly?
No, it is not. It's terrible.
And Charles Lichtenstein says that what the UN needs most is a long-term, tough-minded, independent business manager to handle the day-to-day running of the UN.
That's what you need. I don't care about diplomatic skills and talents. The fewer of them, the better. What you need is an undiplomatic manager.
Somebody to knock heads.
Somebody to knock heads and crack whips and make cuts.
And that remains the view of Lichtenstein and other critics of the UN, even after that recent announcement of a new top-level investigator for the UN. Senator Larry Pressler, for instance, calls the move mere window dressing. He says he doubts the investigator will have either the independence or the authority to be effective. In preparing this report, we repeatedly requested an interview with Boutros Ghali. He turned us down.
What's IBM doing for customers these days? Ask Nordic Track.
We get orders 24 hours a day, so our systems have to be up all the time. IBM makes sure they are.
Ask Callaway Golf.
IBM computers helped us start growing. Now their consultants help us manage our growth.
Ask Nike.
We wanted a laptop on the leading edge of technology. IBM delivered with a ThinkPad.
You want people who really help you? Talk to us. There's never been a better time to do business with IBM.
I know. Say we didn't get the package.
Martha!
Tom, did you get our package?
Gee, it never got here.
Really?
Introducing tracking software from Federal Express.
It was delivered to your place at 9:22 a.m.
Ah! Probably stuck in the mailroom.
No, it was signed for by your partner, Brian.
Now you can track packages right from your computer on your desk.
Brian, are you there?
Oh, that package, Martha. We can negotiate a deal at this.
Final call.
We've got to move fast, Kirby. I hope your book hurts.
Not exactly, but this company's fast.
Fastest Hertz #1 club goal? Not exactly, but they do have a special place to pick up the car. Like Hertz? Not exactly, but it'll be waiting.
Under a canopy? With the keys in it?
Not exactly.
And protected from the weather?
Not exactly.
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
Counting on that promotion, Kirby? No, not exactly. Ah!
Robert Urich has 3 sons who really care about him.
I think you need a woman. So how old are
Late 30s,
you? How late?
43. Faye Dunaway has a secretary who cares about her.
You always wanted children. Now you can have 3 without even having to beg a nurse for spinal drugs.
It had to be you. Sneak preview next.
A policewoman and her father become targets of a serial killer.
He came after my son.
Charles Bronson, Dana Delaney, Donato, and daughter. Tuesday contains some violent scenes.
It may have escaped your notice, but recently a vacuum cleaner just like this one and the one down in your basement was sold for $100,000. Also, a sink went for $121,000 and a pair of urinals for $140,000. All of the above and even more unlikely stuff is art. That's what the artists say, the dealers, and of course, the people who lay out good money. It all may make you believe in the wisdom of P.T. Barnum that there's a sucker born every minute. The Noble Auction House of Sotheby's in New York last November. The long-anticipated winter sale of contemporary art. And here it is, folks.
So 242, the Gerhard Richter. Please note that the measurements for this work are reversed. It's actually a horizontal painting. I'm sorry, it's actually a vertical painting. 78 by 59 inches. And we start here at $50,000 this bid for this.
And we start here at $10,000 this bid for this. Not $10,000 now.
1,800,000. Down it goes then. At 1,800,009. At 1,000,009. I have 1,900,000. Now say 2 million.
This one, a canvas of scrawls done with the wrong end of a paintbrush, bears the imaginative title of Untitled. It's by Cy Twombly and was sold for $2,145,000. And that's dollars, not Twombly's.
And $20,000 to start this now at $20,000.
There were bargains. Rat, repeated 3 times, reached $30,000.
Sold at $30,000, yours, sir?
And green grass, the words, not the plant, went for $13,000.
So, and $750,000 for it, I have.
The auction itself was a glittering affair. A bank of phones connected Paris, Geneva, Frankfurt, and London. Among the hottest items,
lot number 72. This is sold from the catalog.
Jeff Koons' inspired work, 3 basketballs submerged in a fish tank.
Sold at
$150,000, giving new meaning to slam dunk.
Wow, Dr. J.
And back in his New York studio, Jeff Koons has more where that came from, and a slightly shaky version of what it all means.
This is an ultimate state of being. I wanted to play with people's desires, that they desired this equilibrium. They desired pre-birth, or I was...
What did he say? The language is art speak, the same pitch that convinced the emperor to buy new clothes or waterlogged basketballs.
I was giving a definition of life and death. This is the eternal. This is what life is like also after death, aspects of the eternal.
Jeff Koons is a genuine phenomenon. Still in his 30s, he's become a millionaire since he moved from commodity brokering on Wall Street to art mongering to the world. He doesn't actually paint or sculpt. He commissions craftsmen to do that. Or he goes shopping for basketballs and vacuum cleaners. What makes them art, Jeff?
I always like the anthropomorphic quality. They're like lungs. So this object now is just free to eternally just to display its newness, its integrity of birth.
So what do you say to the man who said, fool, you hadn't paid $100,000. I just got a genuine Koons for $80.
This work would be a signed work by myself, or would have a letter of authenticity.
He's already had a retrospective at the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art.
Do you think he's making fun of everyone? Do you think he's making fun of the art world? No.
No, he's making his money off the art world.
Whether you like Jeff Koons' concoctions or not, he is a master of marketing himself. There's barely a glossy magazine that does not celebrate his face and his antics. He's not only in vogue, he is in vogue. His soul burns with the bonfires of the vanities, and thus he's a favorite of Vanity Fair.
I'm not saying to bring these closer. I'm saying we need here, and we still don't have this. We need it up. We need out.
For his pièce de résistance last year, he hired platoons of German workmen to erect a 40-foot puppy made of flowers, and the art world cheered.
It's very much about something extremely banal made into something terrifically heroic and important. And so it kind of bespeaks of our own sense of ego at certain moments in our life.
Of course, most of this art of the 90s would be worthless junk without the hype of the dealers, and even more important, the approval of the critics. They write in language that, to this viewer anyway, sounds important, but might as well be in Sanskrit. Of the American artist Julian Schnabel, a critic wrote,
"His is an eschatological art, appropriating the master meanings of life and the master languages of art to reassert the sense of hurt and loss that evades both."
A book on Christopher Wool, the Rat Man, said of his work,
"They communicate not like facile appropriations, but as a honed perfectionist idea of that discourse reduced to the irreducible. Then, starting all over again."
Arts Magazine said of Robert Gober, who specializes in arms, legs, sinks, and urinals,
"Installations function as utopian and dystopian spaces. The tableau arrests, and its own stillness suspends social time."
And if you're still stumped, let Jeffrey Deitch, critic, dealer, and fan, explain.
This work in particular shows something of the uncertainty in which artists find themselves today in the human sphere. They don't quite know exactly where they stand.
So simple when you think about it. As simple as one of Mr. Gober's urinals. A major New York art collector, Elaine Danheiser, has 3, all in a row.
They look like urinals, but they really aren't.
I know, because there's no plumbing attached to them. But beyond that, does it comment on society in some way, do you think?
I think it comments on things that we take for granted and that we really don't see. That is Robert Ryman.
And that is, it's a white rectangle.
Right. And Ryman has reduced painting to its very essence. And a lot of people don't understand that, but...
I confess I'm among them on this one.
Well, some of his work has a little more texture in it. This one is a little flatter because he really has reduced it. He's a minimal artist, and...
I would say so. Now this intrigues me.
Yes, this is a young artist by the name of Felix Gonzalez Torres.
May I touch it?
You can, as a matter of fact, you're allowed, they're candies. They're Italian candies, and one is allowed to take them.
But one would reduce the value of the
Well, then you just replace them.
I see.
Yes.
In my observation...
Art critic Hilton Kramer says the people who buy this stuff are victims of a trashy hoax.
Just the act of spending that money on an object makes them feel that they are collaborating in creating the art history of their time.
But is it also a case of the emperor's clothes?
Oh, it's largely a case of the emperor's clothes, but they don't see it that way.
When I look at almost all contemporary art, I see nothing. Nothing.
Brian Sewell, a London critic, is appalled. No other word for it. Imagine the outrage of a man steeped in the work of the masters when he witnessed, at an auction, the sale of a can of excrement, the work and waste of the artist Piero Manzoni.
I suppose you could argue that he was making, as it were, a symbolic statement that all contemporary art is feces.
There was a painting, if that's the word, at the Sotheby's sale by a man named Wool, Chris Wool, I think. And it was the word rat, repeated 3 times.
Mm.
Art?
Oh, I think you were lucky to have the word. I mean, you might just have had a blank canvas. That's pretty commonplace now.
It's a standard assumption in the art world today that a work of art is anything an artist says it is. And an artist is somebody who calls himself an artist, and there are no other tests.
I don't understand it one scrap. I don't understand it at all. Well, let's go on.
Well, we don't belong to this generation. We must retire.
The dealers lust after the hypeable, and a few years ago, they struck pure gold when Jean-Michel Basquiat came on the scene. His work, giant, childishly wrought graffiti, sent the art world into spasm. Jean-Michel was heaven sent for height. The story was that this poor black kid was discovered on the street by Andy Warhol. The fact was, he came from an upper middle-class suburban family and had a keen eye for the marketplace. But the legend stuck, and his work started selling for as much as $250,000 per graffito. Then in 1988, when his popularity was declining, his career was saved. He died of a drug overdose. And now that there would be no more Basquiats, the market fell in love with him all over again. He was officially declared genius last fall when the Whitney Museum in New York honored him with a retrospective. You think you could do as well?
Yeah.
You think you could do that?
Yeah, I could do better than that.
You could?
Yeah.
But that looks like what? Some eggs? Eggs? Could you draw a better egg than that?
Yeah. I could draw even...
It was packed with people, and it resounded with art speak.
So it has this multiplicity of potential meanings. Doesn't mean any one of them. It may not mean a thing, but
Could not have said it better myself.
At $170,000. You sure now? 170. 170.
The hammer's down on the last lot. The end of a successful evening.
Yes, we were extremely pleased with the sale.
Total sales, $20,264,750. And until the checks come in, the treasures wait in Sotheby's storeroom. It is, in a way, a little like your basement. The bits and pieces of a lifetime. Is that ladder for climbing, or is it for appreciating? And that faucet, we all have one of those. It's surely a neglected bit of plumbing at Sotheby's. But no, it's a genuine Jan Divots, bid up to $7,500. A bargain, or junk soon to be consigned to the trash heap of art history. Hilton Kramer is certain.
Many of these artists, as I well know, live in great dread of waking up one morning and finding that it's all disappeared, that somebody blew the whistle and they're no longer going to be considered important.
That all the vacuum cleaner does is pick up dirt.
All the vacuum cleaner does is pick up dirt, and with the day Coons' vacuum cleaner goes back to being a vacuum cleaner, then the curtain comes down.
Charlie, back already? Yeah, too mean. Keep down. All right.
Morning, Charlie.
Morning, Mr. Bradley.
Bob.
Bob.
You really had us scared, you know.
Yeah. Would you believe I missed this?
Yeah, I would.
Warsaw rehabilitation programs for workers' compensation and group health lessen the pain for everyone.
For centuries, the North Star has guided man's travels. Then the North Star system by Cadillac created a higher standard of automotive travel. Now its proven technologies will also guide the new Seville SLS, Eldorado, and coming October 7th, the North Star system will guide an entirely new class of luxury automobile, the Cadillac DeVille Concours. The advanced North Star system by Cadillac, creating a higher standard.
The CBS Kmart Premier Party has begun. Let's check in with Jacqueline Smith and Kmart Chairman Joe Antonini at the new Kmart in Westbury, New York.
Thanks, Mark. This is so exciting. And so is the grand opening of this new Kmart. Joe, it's everything you said Kmart would be. A big, beautiful, fun place to shop.
But one thing has stayed the same, Jacqueline. The low Kmart price anytime and every time you shop our stores.
That's for sure. And what great clothes. A whole new look and fashion.
Jackie, I can thank you for that, and I really mean it. I'm very proud of our new Kmart spirits.
Well, you should be, Joe. And now, back to Mark for the Premier Party giveaway.
Thanks, Jacqueline and Joe. Get today's Kmart circular for your chance to win one of 5,000 Big Red Boat family cruises or $1 million instantly. Stay tuned to CBS Tonight to match and win.
60 Minutes, a CBS News weekly magazine, will continue.
Sean Connery, Alec Baldwin, Sam Neill, James Earl Jones in the box office hit that begins a whole new season of movie excitement. The Hunt for Red October, tonight.
This is CBS.
At U.S. Bank, we're here for the real risk takers in the Northwest, small business owners.
The whole deal is for my ideas to go where I can't. I want to share my ideas.
I need to work with other people.
What I want at this company is a computer network.
A partner to make it work.
What we need is a computer network that allows us to share information in different departments, different buildings, different cities.
A computer is only a box.
It's not more boxes we need. It's a network.
It could work.
Enterprise Networking Services from U.S. West connects and maintains LANs and computer networks. For information, call 800-DATA-USW.
Mike Donahue and Shirley Hancock, tonight on Newsroom 6.
This week, President Clinton will announce his plan to reform the nation's $800 billion health care system. The White House says billions could be saved by trimming Medicare payments. But how about Medicare fraud? One company, National Health Laboratories, has already paid the government more than $100 million in fines. And just last week, another lab, Corning MedPath, agreed to repay the government nearly $40 million to settle allegations it filed thousands of false Medicare claims for unnecessary blood tests. Every day in clinical labs like this one, tens of thousands of blood tests are done on these machines, tests that were ordered by doctors. But you and your insurance company or Medicare are often billed for tests your doctor doesn't want and you don't need. How does that happen? Well, say your doctor decides you need some routine blood tests. You've been feeling run down and tired. So he sends you to a lab for a basic blood workup. We went to a lab for just that. It should have cost us about $20, $15 if we'd been Medicare patients. But when we got the bill, we found that we had been charged for tests the doctor didn't ask for and didn't want. We had no argument with the $18.99 charge for that SMAC test. That's the basic blood workup that the doctor ordered. But what's this $23.41 for something called ferritin? What's ferritin anyway? And another $22.11 for an HDL-LDL cholesterol test, which again was not what the doctor ordered. Multiply that by 40 million blood tests done every year, you get a pretty good idea of the potential for fraud and abuse. This machine is called a SMAC. It stands for Sequential Multiple Analyzer Computer. It performs up to 20 or more basic blood tests at once, everything from sugar to salt. Most of the tests your doctors need to find out what's ailing you. That word SMAC has become the generic term for a basic package of multiple blood tests, all done on one machine and all for one low price. So where is the actual SMAC machine? Jack Dowden, who used to be a salesman for one of the nation's largest labs, got a multi-million-dollar reward from the government for telling them how one big company, National Health Laboratories, was cheating Medicare by charging for extra tests. For instance, an HDL cholesterol test. Now, how were they able to do that?
They would split out the HDL when they were billing everybody but the doctor. They billed the patients for the HDL test, or they billed insurance programs, including Medicare, for the HDL test.
And that was the key to the scheme. Medicare would pay
around $16 for the SMAC and around $12 for the cholesterol, I think. Maybe a little more, maybe 15.
Doctors were led to believe that the cholesterol, the HDL test, was an integral part of the basic SMAC, all the tests for one low price, unaware that their patients were being charged extra for the HDL cholesterol test. The bill was usually sent directly to Medicare or the patient, who assumed the doctor wanted the extra test. The doctor rarely saw the bill.
This was very successful for them. They became the fastest growing, most profitable laboratory in the country. And after a couple of years of doing this, they expanded the program by adding another test called ferritin.
Ferritin.
Mm-hmm.
What is that test for?
That's an iron storage test, basically.
How often would a doctor ask for a ferritin test?
As a part of a regular physical panel, never.
Never?
Never. I called on doctors for 9 years. I talked to doctors 1,000 times. I routinely said, Doctor, given money is no object, what would you like to do in your annual physical? And they would say SMAC, CBC, sometimes HDL, and thyroid. And never asked for ferritin. Never, not once.
In early 1990, Dowden decided to blow the whistle on the billing scheme, and he went to see federal investigators to tell them how National Health Labs was adding ferritin to its SMAC chemistry panels. The case was assigned to Carol Lamb, an assistant U.S. attorney in San Diego.
Just speaking of ferritin, were you ever able to determine how much NHL's profits went up just because of these extra charges?
In 1988, National Health Laboratories received about $500,000 from Medicare for all the ferritin tests it performed across the country. It implemented the ferritin scheme in 1989, and by 1990, National Health Labs was receiving $31 million from the Medicare program for serum ferritin tests.
And it jumped from $500,000 to $31 million in about a year?
It jumped from $500,000 to $31 million over the course of a year, plus almost half of all the ferritin payments made by Medicare to independent clinical laboratories went to National Health Laboratories alone.
Last December, after a 2-year investigation, NHL agreed to plead guilty to fraud.
The charge National Health Labs pled guilty to was submitting false and fraudulent claims to the United States government.
So that's on the record. They admitted that.
Yes.
And the fines and penalties?
There was a criminal fine of $1 million for the company and $500,000 for the president, and there was a simultaneous civil settlement with the Civil Division of the United States Department of Justice for $100 million.
$100 million, the largest fine ever paid for Medicare fraud.
And the president of the company went to jail, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
After the president of the company was sent to jail, NHL adopted new procedures and changed its forms. To find out if the changes were effective, we sent 60 Minutes associate producer Karen Jaffe to an NHL lab with a doctor's prescription, asking specifically for a SMAC, a complete blood count, what doctors call a CBC, and a thyroid test. Nothing else. When we got the bill, we took it to Dr. Peter Bedetti of George Washington University, a consultant to the White House on health care reform.
And we've highlighted in yellow what we think they charged us that the doctor didn't ask for. And tell us what you see.
Well, on here are the tests that it's clear that the doctor ordered, but then I see here that there is a separate charge for an HDL cholesterol-related test and a separate charge for ferritin, and it's being separately billed. It's not part of the basic panel.
The doctor, you saw the prescriptions. The doctor did not ask for that. Is that correct?
The doctor did not ask for that, and if I had written that SMAC profile, an order like that, I would not have expected to have gotten the ferritin as a result.
Ferritin again? From the very same company, NHL, that paid that whopping fine? We went back to the lab and spoke to the technician who drew producer Jaffe's blood. He showed us an order form, a confusing order form that bunches several blood tests together into what NHL calls health survey profiles. several of the profiles automatically bundle CBC, ferritin, and HDL cholesterol together. The technician claimed it was cheaper for the patient to order the whole profile.
I don't think it's cheaper, because let me show you what they did. They charged her, this is her bill, they charged her $22 for HDL cholesterol that she never asked for, and another $23 for ferritin that she never asked for an additional $45.
Okay, I'd have to pull up the paperwork to see just what was ordered.
Well, this is all her paperwork.
NHL tells us it's against company policy to charge patients for extra tests. If what happened to Karen Jaffe was an isolated mistake, they made that same mistake when 60 Minutes producer Howard Rosenberg went for a blood test at a different NHL lab. And at that same lab, they made the same mistake again when Medicare patient Irene Schneider, at our request, got a blood test. And when CBS cameraman Richard Norling went there for his blood test.
This shows that, once again, there's a charge here, a separate charge for the HDL and a separate charge for the ferritin.
And there was a prescription form.
It appears from the prescription form that the doctor would not have wanted those tests to be run.
NHL sent us a letter arguing that 99% of all test requests are not ordered on prescriptions, but on their pre-printed forms, and they sent us one. The form offers the basic SMAC, which they call an automated chemistry panel, along with a shopping list of other individual tests. But it also offers 8 different packages of tests, the health survey profiles, which are easier for doctors to check off. The first profile includes the basic SMAC plus HDL cholesterol and ferritin. The other 7 offer other add-ons, but all of them also include HDL and ferritin, even though the form doesn't clearly say so. We showed the form to Dr. Bedetti, who said that most doctors are not aware that all the health survey profiles automatically include separate charges for those 2 tests.
I would find this, personally, confusing.
Misleading?
I would be misled by this. I would be misled by this.
To see if other big labs were doing the same thing, Karen Jaffe went to a SmithKline Beecham lab with the same prescription for a SMAC, a complete blood count, and a thyroid test. SmithKline didn't run a ferritin test. Instead, they charged her for something else her doctor didn't ask for.
Well, this is very interesting.
This is magnesium.
Seeing magnesium there would surprise me, but I would assume that it was part of the same little package of tests that they can do at the same price.
Would the doctor necessarily know that the patient was charged extra?
No, in fact, I think the doctor would make just the opposite assumption.
And what about the lab where the whistleblower Jack Dowden was a salesman, Corning MedPath? Our producer, Karen Jaffe, went to see them for yet another blood test. We went back there 2 weeks later with the bill.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. We're from 60 Minutes.
I know, I recognize you.
Do you recognize this woman? Hi.
Yes, she was in here before.
Yeah. Can we ask you a couple of questions about her case?
Her case?
Here's her prescription.
CB SMAC and 7, okay.
All right?
Uh-huh.
And then we got a bill for that for $148, which included a bunch of tests that she got billed for that the doctor never asked for. And we wanted to ask you about that. For instance, she was billed for HDL cholesterol for an additional $19 plus. The doctor never asked for. She got a bill for protein-bound glucose for $13 that she never asked for.
The doctor never asked for the...
No, you see the prescription?
Okay. This designation, SMAC.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we have what is called a health profile,
right,
or SMAC, but usually the doctor gives a designated number behind it. And so since he did not give the designation, we do what is called a Chem 24, Chem 28. We give him everything because it was his fault. He did not make the designation, the proper designation that he wanted.
In the case of NHL, they said their technicians had called the doctors who ordered the test to clarify their instructions on 3 of the 4 prescriptions. But the doctors said that's not what the lab did. In producer Rosenberg's case, the lab called to ask for the diagnosis. As for cameraman Norling, the lab technician called to get his patient number. And for Medicare patient Irene Schneider, it was only to ask for the doctor's Medicare number so the lab could directly bill the government, which it did. All three of the labs in our story declined requests for on-camera interviews. And in letters, they accused us of presenting their technicians with ambiguous doctor's orders. A federal task force is now investigating at least 5 of the nation's largest clinical labs for overcharging Medicare. And just days ago, the Inspector General for Medicare served National Health Laboratories with subpoenas as part of a new probe triggered by our investigation.
If you've ever dreamed of staying in a place where it felt like the whole hotel was put there just to support you, then this must be the place. Radisson.
As expected, the shape is new and beautiful. As expected, it's quieter and has more space. As expected, there are dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. As expected, the automotive world once again revolves around one car. The new Accord EX from Honda. As expected.
The success of any organization of human beings really depends upon how well they can work together. So we try to hire good attitudes. I think the easiest way to lose success is to become convinced that you are successful. I think American Express has a distinctive market. I've really been very appreciative of not just the card itself, but the service behind the card.
American Express is welcomed on airlines all around the world. Herb is kind of partial to his corner of the world.
A new chapter has begun in Merrill Lynch's history in Asia. We are the first American securities firm invited to open an office in mainland China. Being there gives our financial consultants a different perspective, which makes a difference for our clients. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
If screaming down the north face is where you're at, and steaming up the hot tub is where you're at, then the place you stay should be the place you're at. Radisson. This must be the place.
Tonight, Andy Rooney is right on the money.
Tonight, I call on every man, woman, and child in America making more than $100,000 to go on strike. Let the politicians know we're tired of being kicked around and we're not going to take it anymore. We'll bring the economy of this nation to a screeching halt. Politicians are always after the rich, and they can't even decide who is rich.
For the wealthiest, those earning more than $180,000 per year.
The income tax increases will only fall on families with taxable income of about over $140,000 a year. That means
80% of all the revenue comes from people with incomes above $180,000 to $200,000 per year. 70% will be paid by those who make more than $100,000 a year.
Politicians attack people with money because voters who don't have as much of it love to hear it. People hate anyone with more money than they have. Even rich people hate that. Listening to politicians, you'd think rich people got that way by stealing. The fact is, most people who have money got it by knowing how to do something and working hard at it. This year, those people are going to be paying almost 60 cents of every dollar they earn in taxes. Federal taxes, state taxes, school taxes, real estate taxes, excise taxes, sales taxes. That's why I'm calling for a strike. All of big business will close down. There aren't any corporate executives who make less than $100,000. There won't be a World Series. The lowest paid Major League Baseball player gets $109,000. Don't get sick during the strike. The average doctor makes $179,000 a year. So let me say something to you, President Clinton. You get $250,000 plus room and board and all you can eat. You deserve it. It's the working rich like you who make the wheels go round. If the United States didn't have some rich people, you might as well be president of Somalia. And one more thing. When everyone making more than $100,000 goes out on strike, don't look for a 60-minute show that week.
After last week's story on the harsh treatment meted out to inmates at California's Pelican Bay Prison, most of the letters we got were like this one. The only problem with Pelican Bay is that it's the only one like it. There were, however, a sprinkling of letters on the other side. This letter, for instance, from a viewer who didn't want us to use his name. Are California taxpayers being served by their $20,000 per man prison system? Will any Pelican Bay inmate return to society as a law-abiding citizen? But as we said, most of the letters were like this one. In France, Pelican Bay would be classified as a country club. Let all our prisons be Pelican Bay. I'm Steve Krupp. We'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
We've got to move fast, Kirby. I hope your book hurts.
Not exactly, but this company's fast.
As fast as Hertz #1 club goal?
Not exactly, but they do have a special place to pick up the car.
Like Hertz?
Not exactly, but it'll be waiting.
Under a canopy? With the keys in it?
Not exactly.
And protected from the weather?
Not exactly.
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
Counting on that promotion, Kirby?
No, not exactly.
Far from Bourbon Street, in its own little corner of the Garden District, is the most fabled house in New Orleans, the Maple Street Children's Bookshop, where the folks who write the books also read them. So if you go, bring your wildest imagination and your Visa card, because at Maple Street, they'll take you on a truly magical journey, but they won't take American Express. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Last year, Ford Motor Company had 5 of the 10 best-selling new cars and trucks in America. And to help keep your car running like new, we designed Quality Care Preventive Maintenance. It's a level of care you won't find anywhere but at your Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer. Everything from changing your oil and filter to brake jobs and shocks. Quick, expert, and competitively priced. Quality Care, where the quality continues.
For every woman who's ever been harassed.
Maybe you should go home to your kid and leave the reporting to those of us who can deal with it.
Your champion's back. The Murphy Brown season premiere. Then Annie Potts is back on Monday nights.
You call us fresh? Their eyes are cloudy, the gills are cut out. Wear the little medical alert bracelets.
Love and War after Murphy Brown, Monday. Why would these two guys be living together again?
Come on, Coffee. Sweep up a cup.
Jack Klugman and Tony Randall.
After him.
The all-new Odd Couple movie. Friday on CBS.
This work in particular shows something of the uncertainty in which artists find themselves today in the human sphere. They don't quite know exactly where they stand.
So simple when you think about it. As simple as one of Mr. Gober's urinals. And $20,000 to start this now.
Tomorrow night on CBS, it's a new season for the best in comedy. Evening Shade, Harry Anderson in Dave's World, Murphy Brown. Then Annie Potts joins Love and War, followed by Northern Exposure. And now Faye Dunaway and Robert Urich star in a sneak preview of their new comedy, It Had to Be You. Next.
Now at $800,000 for it. At $800,000 for it, $850,000. At $800,000.
For a transcript of this program, send $5 to